Welcome to the Via Stoica podcast. This is the Stoic Quotes edition. Today we're going to look at a quote by Marcus Aurelius. I will always start from the Gregory Hayes translation. That's the one that I have. I've got a few translations here as well. And this is I probably say this every episode for those who keep on listening, but I love these quotes and they really help, inspire me. They help me keep on track of trying to live a better, more calm, a peaceful life. But I really like this one, although it maybe, it's one that I had to sit down with and think about a little bit. But let's dive right into it right now. Again, if you like these episodes, if you like what we're doing here, please like and subscribe and leave a comment, right? If you have other quotes that you think is like, wow, this is a great one, please look at this one and let me know if you have questions about it. And if you want to dive a little bit deeper and want to see how you can put this into practice for yourself, you can always schedule a free consultation at viastoica.com. But let's dive into the quote as we go along. It's by Marcus Aurelius again. It's on book 4, number 7. Some people might already say, oh yeah, I know this one. But here we go. Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. Now for this one, I liked to go into some other translation just to get a better grasp of the words and to see how other translators used it. So there's another one. This is from the Penguin Classics edition. Remove the judgment and you have removed the thought, I am hurt. Remove the thought, I am hurt, and the hurt itself is removed. And I like this one especially because it adds the judgments and the thoughts. And I think that's where the Gregory Hayes translation goes a little bit, where it misses a little bit of the nuance. And there's another one from another translation. It says, suppress the thought and the cry, I am hurt, is gone. Suppress the I am hurt and you suppress the injury. Now, what I like about this quote, and again, where I maybe think it does really show the intricacies of how Stoics look at human emotion and how they are formed and how they are created. And an interesting book to read about that dives really deep into this is Stoicism and Emotion by Margaret Graver. She really dives into and shows you the levels and the layers of how this works. So when we look at the first part of it, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. So there's already harm being felt, right? So the Stoics, they are aware that even the sage, even the perfect, person, a perfect Stoic will feel emotions, will feel things happening, right? That's the pre-emotion, the propatheia, the pre-emotion that will happen. So how does that work in a sequence? It's when something happens, an event happens, and in our minds, we have these we have these beliefs, these thoughts, all preconceived from whatever childhood, nature, nurture, Stoics talk about that as well. But they kind of see it as both. So we have these ideas of what is good and what is bad. And then when something happens, for example, something that harms us, let's take an insult, for example. Someone says some words to us, and our thoughts are, because they are said in a certain manner, with a certain tone, with certain words, that they are bad for us, right? That's something that we have already set in our minds, that if this happens, if someone says these things to us in this way, then that we should feel hurt by it. And then that's the pre-emotion. Something happens, our instant reaction is like, wow, I'm hurt by this because of whatever being said in a way. And then the Stoics say, okay, let's take a pause, let's see what's really happening, and then let's remove that judgment of the judgment that we already have. Let's remove that and say, okay, these are just words, someone's opinion, someone said something about me. Do I really need to feel harmed by it? No. So I'm removing the harm, right? That's that first step. That's that step that the Stoics talk about, where we want to evaluate and we want to reflect on what's happening, to use that cognitive distancing, and where we can really objectively look at what's happening. Marcus Aurelius talks about this in some of the other meditations, where he tells us to dissect the things for the facts that they are. A grape juice is just fermented wine. A wine is just fermented grape juice. The color purple back in the day was just the blood of some shellfish. So we have to look at those were very expensive things at that time for them. And we have to look at what they really are, break them down to their essence, to the facts, and we can remove our emotional attachments to what was happening and look at it from a more rational and logical standpoint. Someone tells something bad about me, some criticism, but hey, if you have criticism, leave some comments. It's always good practice for me, and it's good to start the dialogue, right? But that for me is just someone else's opinion. How they said it, why they said it, that's up to them, right? That's up to, if they choose to use profanity or foul language, that's not my problem, right? That's something that they're facing or dealing with or going through. But I can look at it objectively and say, okay, beyond the words that they chose to use, beyond the tone that they choose to use, let me examine if there's some truth there, if there's some value for me to improve. Maybe they are right. They just don't know how to express it in the right way. And then I can ask if I want to or not. I can just take it for what it is. But that's that first part of the quote where it's like, I've been harmed, because that's the pre-emotion, and my rational side kicks in. I remove that judgment that I feel harmed, and I haven't feel harmed. And with practice, we go to the next phase, right? And that's why I like the Penguin Classic translation, which says, remove the thought, I am hurt, and the hurt itself is removed. Now, this is where, when we look at Margaret Graver, she looks at how is this pre-emotion built, or how is this pre-emotion conceived? And that's because we have a belief or a thought that these things are hurtful, right? And moreover, we then allow ourselves to feel hurt because we say, hey, this happened, then it's okay for me to feel this way. But if we have practiced step one first, we remove the judgment, then we can start working on that belief, on that thought that we have that this is bad. And if we work on that, then even that pre-emotion can disappear, or at least diminish, because that label, that judgment that we've already placed on someone saying something hurtful to me is gone, because someone is just saying something to me. And because we've been doing that work, we can even then start to reduce, or maybe even remove those pre-emotions, because the event itself is no longer connected with a thought that we have that this is hurtful, or that this is bad, or that this is good. We've just looked at it as like, hey, this is what it is. This is someone saying something. This is something happening to me. Let me just do what I have to do. So in that sense, we are getting those steps of removing those pre-emotions, and it's the impact of the impulses, because our thoughts and our beliefs are being changed. They're not so quick in adding the judgment. Moreover, they remove the judgment at all. And that's the practice that we have to go through. And then as we do that, more and more of these impulses, more and more of these events will lose the power that they hold over us. We won't get angry as fast or as much as we would before, because we've removed that thought as like, this happening now, I should be angry. This happening now, I should be sad. That doesn't mean that we won't be sad at all, right? It doesn't mean that we won't be angry, but we can control it far better. We can reduce it in the spot. And maybe even certain things won't make us angry at all anymore. Then others might, but that's where we got to keep doing the work, right? So that's why this quote is vital, in my opinion, to see how our emotions work. If we do get angry or sad, if we do feel harmed, we can take a pause. We can look at it from an objective view. We can break it down into the facts, use our reason and logic, and say, hey, this didn't really have to hurt me at all or harm me. So why do I feel harm? I don't. I remove that judgment and I don't feel harm. And as we practice that more and more and more, then we start to recognize these events, and our thoughts connected to those events are then more neutral. It's like, okay, there's no harm for me here because I've been through this many times. Now, why should I feel harmed? And then you won't feel harmed. And that's why I really like this quote. And let me just read it again from the Gregory Hayes translation, because this is the where I saw it first, and I like this one as well. So he says, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been, right? Remove the judgment and the thought I'm harmed is gone. Remove the thought and you won't feel harmed. So think about that. Next time when you do feel harmed, when you do feel hurt, when you do feel angry, think about it. First, remove that judgment, see for the facts what it is, and then start to reflect. Do some journaling, do some writing, find some support, maybe get in touch with us for some Stoic coaching where we can really dive into that. And we can reprogram, we can work on those thoughts that you have connected with specific events where you feel angry, sad, hurt, or harmed. And we can work on reducing or maybe even removing those thoughts that will have that pre-emotion and remove that impact as well. So I really like this one. This goes really to the core of the understanding of how emotions work, at least how I view it. If you view it some different way, please leave a comment and make sure to like and subscribe if you like these episodes. So, well, thank you for watching right now. We'll have quotes every Friday, and on Tuesday we will have regular episodes, and we're looking forward to seeing you then again. So thank you very much, and see you next time.